All right. Cool. I did it. And then that means that works. And so if we wait, I know, wait, the rest of this will work. Auto find and activate. Come on, come on. Where's my stream? What's up, guys? TikTok, be good. YouTube, take a second. And almost there, almost there. But we're going to be tinting the full thing with the windshield on this lovely Dodge Dart. We're going to do all the sides and the rear. There it is. Good. Everything should be good. All right, let's start with taping some seals. We like doing that, don't we? Most everything else is all set. I removed the mirror already. I'll show how I did that. I was a little unsure going into it, but it worked out. It's just like the Rams. So putting it back is going to be way fun. But we have old felt style seals on this, full of dust, debris. The felt will just bleed out into my work. We don't like that. So 2 seconds and wha-bam! Was hoping this was a classic Dart. Yeah, no. Is it easy to make money tinting windows? No, not really. If you know how to tint, then you still got to sort out the business side of it. There's a lot of people that will say they can tint windows, and they'll just do subpar work and then leave the customer wishing they had gone somewhere else. Okay, let's turn on the car. Not all the way. Settle down. Settle down. You know, it was actually weird to have a key for once. So many push buttons now. Do you have any recommendation on where to go to get clients? Ad agencies, lead generators, appointment setters. Okay, I gotta figure out what their actual website is because I forgot. We have a company that's doing our ads right now. It's the same company that does Tint School Online and Kepler and Union window films. So you can hit them up. You can tell them I referred you over. But things slowed down a lot for us at the turn of the year. And then we had, we were looking into doing our own ads. I tried that for a little bit. And tell you, it's a lot better to have a company that knows what they're doing. So it'll get them going faster and far more cost effective. But running ads is going to be just the best surefire way of getting more leads, period. There's always different ways to try and hustle more business, getting involved in groups, going to local businesses, car meets, that kind of stuff, literally like word of mouth connections. But are you also hand cutting this car? I don't know. Should we plot this or should we hand cut this? Maybe we'll do a little bit of both. Plot it, please. Wow. Hand cut. Oh, now we're 50-50. We got to make a poll. I don't know how to do that. Plotter, hand cut. Wow, 2 for plotter, 1 for hand cut. We'll just go. whatever comments win is what we'll do. Just write Tint Studio. We're in Sterling Heights. So we'll start out with the front and then do that first and then move to the back. Hand, plot, plot. Hand, hand, hand. More for hand. We'll do a little bit of both for sure. But we'll start with hand cutting the front. How about that? We could even do both styles if we wanted to. Door panel gets in the way a little bit here. It's really not bad, but it does prop up. Is panel guard available? No, we traded it. We took panel guard out of stock and replaced it with seal guard. It'll be back. I don't have an exact date, but it shouldn't be too much longer. Okay, what are we doing? 5. We need 5% out of the ceramic cabinet. That's going to be this guy right here. We're doing 5 on all the sides and the rear. And then we got to do... I got to get a new pack of blades. Hang on. I forgot. We're doing 5 on all the sides and the rear, and then 35 on the windshield. These are the stainless steel blades that we're going to be using. Does the car have to be done by a certain time? Not exactly. Anytime within a 3 to 4 hour range is generally what I'll shoot for. But we're starting this at 1 o'clock today. So I don't want to be here necessarily till 5. So we'll try and get it done a little more efficiently. It's a brand new roll. I wonder if I'm opening that for no good reason. I feel like I probably already have a roll open. But here we are. It's the first one that I saw. Maybe it just had the sticker. It didn't have the sleeve though, so it's pretty heavy. So, since this is a car, let's tighten this up. Pop that back in there. We can take a 36-inch roll. We can split this in half. And then we're only using 18 inches worth of film on each side of the car. We're going to start with the safety cutter. And we're going to zip this. And then we're going to take this, we're going to flip it over, and we're just going to line these up. And hopefully we didn't cut that short. Nope, we're good. Yeah, we should be able to do. It's a Dart. It shouldn't take too long. What was that question? Do you have any recommendations on somebody that is doing mobile? I mean, the best way that I did mobile was going from shop to shop. That way you get recurring business and stable accounts. Rather than going from like house to house. So if you partner up with some existing companies that are not necessarily tint shops, but have customers that would want window tint, so auto glass, auto accessories, a lot of those places have a hard time keeping a window tinter because they generally don't have enough tint business, but they have enough for a couple days. Like they don't have enough to keep somebody full-time, And it's really hard for a business that doesn't focus on tint to bring in a good tinter that is going to stay long term, because usually like you just see that money and you can then go make it yourself. But if you don't have a location and you're mobile, tinting in a garage is better than tinting in other people's houses. And when you have a shop that is bringing you customers, you don't have to deal with that either. You provide, I don't know, whatever you want to provide, the film and your know-how, get the cars done. So that's how I would tackle mobile. All right, let's see how low we need to tuck this. A little bit lower, not far at all. Yeah, right now we're just trimming our patterns to size. Squeegee those together. I can roll down our window. Make sure that this doesn't move. Perfect. We're going to use our top edge knife. You see how that blade's starting to wear out? Is it easy to make $500 a day tinting? Depends on what you charge. This car all the way around with the windshield is $550, but I'm in a building. So that eats into everything. So yes and no. Depends on how you have your business set up, the kinds of customers that you can get, and how expensive it is to keep going. But I will say, a lot of people that are just, hey, can I make X amount a day? Is it easy to get going? No, it's not just simple to get going. It's tough, especially when there's other people doing it. It's a tough business to grow, and it's a tough business to get into. It's low cost to get film and tools to start, but figuring out the business is challenging. For everybody that is charging $400 or $500, there's even more people that are charging less than that. So it's not just I learn how to do it and I start making money. It's a grind. $550 is a ripoff. See what I mean? And we're getting told I just did a windshield this morning for $250. This customer has been back since, I don't know, like 2020. He's brought in like 4 or 5 different vehicles. He literally told me, he's like, there were a few more places by me that I took other vehicles to, and they just did a bad job. So it depends. It's worth it to some people. Get a billboard off of 696. That would be fun to get a billboard. I don't know if it'd do anything for me, but it'd be funny to drive by and see it. I just opened up a shop. What material you're using for fine trimming? Is that glass or plexiglass? This is glass. Glass is going to be the best surface for cutting tint. Plexi is too soft. You can make some cuts, but you'll just dig into it. It'll work as a peel board, but these were custom, just big glass shower doors, basically. Shower doors, barn door walls. Is XPEL a good tint brand? Well, you're asking about it. Yeah, they're definitely a good brand. They're not going to have films that are any better than what we're using now, but they are a good brand. I'm mobile. How do you get a clean install on a windshield? Glue dries fast in Arizona. Get inside. There's a reason why a lot of more people tint inside than outside. You got to be in the shade, in a cover. If you have sun dry or cooking your window, that doesn't work. Doesn't work well, anyways. Ooh, we going dark. I popped into the live stream a while back. I asked some questions. I went from doing a hack job to my tints looking really, really good. I just want to say thank you for the advice. That's super cool to hear. Thank you. Give us some tips on shrinking rear windows. Stay tuned, because we'll get there. Right now, we're on the doors. White wet towel. Yeah, you can put a towel over the outside of a window. That'll give you shade and keep the glass cool. So if you're mobile out in the sun, that's a way to help, for sure. But you just have a lot of things to worry about when you're outside. I mean, it's like, it's not that it's impossible, but how many car painters do it outside? Like, there's a reason why people use spray booths. So for tinting, we're not exactly that intense, but where you tint can impact the end result unless you know how to compensate for it. So if you're just not very skilled at tinting, you're going to have a really hard time getting a good result. Not that it's impossible, but it's just way harder. I still have some refining, but overall I've had half my family ask and pay me to do theirs. Nice. That's how a lot of people get started. They do their own. Friends and family are like, oh, that's cool, do mine. And the next thing you know, you're a tint business owner. It's really how a lot of people get started. There's a mobile paint booth that you can buy on Amazon. Yes, there is. You also got to worry about the wind blowing it around, so then you need anchors. So if you're doing purely mobile, taking that paint booth around, you're a traveling circus. And then when somebody only wants to spend a couple $100 on tint, is it really worth dragging around your circus? Dart Nation. Like, Dart Nation. Wait, what was that word? Tarnation? Don't you feel like NT and Alpha blade quality has really been bad lately? Not NT, no. We go through a lot of NT. And to me, they've seemed just as good as when we picked them up a while ago. Alpha, I always felt like I used Alpha for a long time, and when I got my hands on NT, I felt like NT was a little bit better. I still feel that way. But we'll use stainless. Maybe part of this is we use stainless for all the sides and the bottom, and then we use a different NT blade for the top edge. That could be why. Has tint been more popular in the last 5 years? Oh, yeah. More awareness, more popularity, more options to pick from. Oh, yeah. Whole industry has definitely grown. Why no more horizontal lives? It's kind of like the radio versus TV. Platforms favor doing vertical over doing horizontal. So like YouTube's a big exception to that. But with YouTube, oh, I need a corner card. Hang on. I gotta go get one. I wanna get a new one. But with live streaming, if you run vertical, we'll do these ones. We'll do these ones today. We'll do the shadow waters. But anyways, platforms favor vertical. So if you're not streaming in vertical, you're just cutting off viewership. I streamed horizontal for quite a few years in a row. Horizontal is just the thing now. I just be watching your videos on my flat screen TV. Yeah. Flip your TV sideways. What's your opinion on commercial/residential tinting? It's a great business. It's one I don't have the ambition for, but we get asked about it. It's just more salesy. You're running around to houses, gotta bring stuff with you. Like anybody that's doing mobile window tinting, my answer should be like, why don't you just do houses? Why are you going to somebody's house to try and tint their car? Go to their house and try and tint their house. Use the car as a segue to get in their house and then tint their house. You make far more money doing that. There, that's my new answer. Don't fall off a ladder. That'll be the disclaimer. It's easier to hire for, easier to scale, easier to do. There's still complications, so it's not easy. I'm just saying, skill for skill, cars are harder. Flat glass is easier. And you charge per square foot for flat glass. Car, you charge per car. So everybody thinks about cars when doing tint. There could probably be far more awareness for houses. I don't think most people realize that they can get tint on their house and that it's energy efficient and there's tax incentives and all this other stuff. Yes, or rob their house. That probably has its own skill. Use the cars, get in their house, take what you can. How far are you booked out usually? Right now, it's been more of like a week and a half. And then that was going well this month. And next week, it seems like we have a Monday appointment. And then it's a little light. They're sliding a lot. Wow. I'm not used to this. I tried to tint my car with some cheap tint. Nice. So you're doing a high gloss clear wrap? No, just tint. High gloss clear wrap, that would be PPF. Is there ever a day you have nobody? Yeah, absolutely. That's where January was kind of concerning. January leading into a good chunk of February. That's why we run ads now. Tint always gets busy and then slows down. That's like how it's always been anywhere that I've worked. So some weeks are just going to be super busy and some weeks are going to just slow down. But there's a lot of extra things that I always can be doing to help. We don't have any email campaigns going. We don't have any referral campaigns going. We are running ads, so that's good for leads, but it's just there's always other stuff that you can be doing. But personally, when appointments slow down, then I can catch up on doing other things. So like last week, we had 2 people out for training. We usually have 3-day training programs, but now we have single-day training. So all that was going on the same time appointments were going on. So busy. When it lightens up a little bit, I'm actually kind of happy. All right. Door panel. With the way that the panel gets in the way, it always makes it a little trickier to get that tucked. But watch. We'll pick up that slack, stuff that there. There we go. Now we got it passed. What do you use for a camera? I have an iPhone, but it streams to a PC. And then from there, it gets broadcasted out. This is the part I always had problems with. If you cut your patterns so they fit into the seal, but they don't go very far past the seals, same thing with the side. You want to hide all your gaps, but you just don't need to tuck your pattern super far down. It's not going to make installing easy, but a lot of people will make their patterns like super wide and super deep. They don't need to go like 5 feet under. How do you avoid getting tiny bubbles in the film? A few things. The biggest thing is practice in getting your installation down. But a little extra thing, we have tape on the side seals. We have really nasty felt seals on this car. So that tape traps all that felt and dirt and gives me a brand new edge to tint against. So it's not that there's no dirt there, but as long as my installation is smooth, I shouldn't like see any speckles around the sides. No tri-edge today. This is the tri-edge. This is the POW Shallow Waters. It's actually a really cool addition. The owner of Tri-Edge, Jay, he did this. This is a special edition color for his wife, and each one of these cards are a little bit different to look more like a beach. Look at that. Look at those little things. That's what we keep out of my work. But all those tri-edges are a little different from each other in color tone. So you could buy like 3 or 4 of them, and they're all gonna look like an ocean. They're down in Miami, so it fits. Made in the U.S. Cool company for sure. Better than Lowe's carpet tape. Yeah, so we have a product called Panel Guard that sometimes is in stock. It's currently out of stock. But we have a new seal guard. So this right here is our new seal guard, and it actually does a better job of sticking to the seals now, and it does a better job of sticking to more door panels than it did before. So you see all this shit in here? Like, we got a ton of dust. Look at that. Look at that. Gross. Gross. And now, shit be gone. This one does not rip by hand. That's the biggest trade-off. But the way that it sticks, the way that it holds, the way that it wraps is far worth that trade-off. And if you go back in some videos, we used to use house wrap tape. House wrap tape is still a great option. Doesn't tear. And that's how I used to put strips here, cut them off. So I'm doing that again. I love this material way more, though. It's a softer, wrappy, more vinyl material. Swipe off this top edge, too. We have it in the TikTok shop. TikTok shop. TikTok shop. Actually, it is in the TikTok shop. Can I get a car wash after 2 days of getting tint? Yeah, absolutely. You can get it right away. Tint goes on the inside. So you don't necessarily just want to roll your windows down right away, but you can absolutely get a car wash anytime after you get your car tinted. Stick to whatever guidelines that the shop gave you. So if they told you to leave them up for 2 or 3 days, do that. But yeah, anytime you go through a car wash. Okay, so we got a driver's door to do. And we have this side to hand cut. So we're already over here. I guess we can just continue. And then we'll install the other side. What's your opinion on tinters lowering their prices to get a job over competition? I mean, we've had to do that too. I think there's limits and certain times of year where, like, makes total sense to get more aggressive, run specials. I don't think there's any issue with it. I think there's a point where it becomes absurd, but every industry has a market. There is no protected service industry, product industry. Everything is subject to supply and demand. So if you're just in an area where there's a lot of supply, prices are going to be lower. There's not as much supply, but there's a lot of demand, prices are going to be higher. That's just life. Worry about running the type of business that you want to see, and then don't hesitate too much on adapting to what is actually happening. But competition always helps everybody elevate their services. So window tint largely was done in just garages, mechanic shops, whatever. Now we're seeing like boutique style places. But you can still see somebody go from shop to shop, house to house, and make a good income. So, I don't know. It all depends. But yeah, I was a little surprised in the wintertime when we called around. We're like the most expensive place around in my area, at least from the places that we called so far. Probably not everywhere, but all right. So let's shift our pattern over. Let's jump back to this side. This window is slightly interesting to people that don't know how to cut them. It's got this little edge here. Sometimes this line is blurred where it just starts to curve. This one's a little bit more defined where my side edge looks like a side edge, but this up here is not my side edge. This is part of the top edge. So I cut this side, overlap both. Well, that sounded like my garage is gonna explode. Might wanna get that looked at. How much did you charge for the red car? $550. And then we're gonna roll this down. And then we're gonna cut here and here. Since this is so rounded, we can probably just go around the edge. But if you make these in 2 separate cuts, sometimes this edge is a little sharper, so it's totally normal to go and meet in the middle there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. What a scam. What a scam. Yeah, we scam people here. Because it's not like you can call around and get like 10 other quotes very easily. What a scam. You prefer plotter cut or hand cut? I prefer the precision that you get from hand cutting, but the right software is on most cars is really friggin' good. How is it a scam if the guy is happy to pay? I know. That's what a free market is. A scam is going to be, I mean, I guess if you don't sell a price ahead of time, but if you just don't deliver on what you say that you're going to deliver. I mean, I guess you could call it a ripoff, but it's not a scam. Does 000 steel wool scratch glass? No, it's safe. I just don't like it. It leaves little steel wool bits behind. Scrub pads and clay bars are just as fine. I don't think steel wool scrubbed any better than a scrub pad did. Charger? I'll turn on the defrosters, but yeah, they are thicker. I think the only thing that's gonna sand them down, I mean, maybe I haven't used steel wool in a long time. I never used it on the chargers. Rip off! Well, so if you don't value at a certain price, then yeah, you could consider it a ripoff, but that's subjective. A scam is going to be if I say I'm going to tint this car and then I charge him and then I just don't tint it or I didn't tint it in the film that I said I was going to do, like that's a scam. You have birds? It sounds like it, doesn't it? We got a lot of bird poop outside right now. I think they're all gathering right along, right outside our garage door, right out there. Oh yeah, I gotta tape the other side. So I'm gonna take this pattern, I'm gonna set it on the side, and then we'll get to the other side here. Is that computer cut? No, that was hand cut. How many razor blades do you go through in a day? Man, the 1-inch razor blades, I throw them away fast. Accidentally. I can keep one razor blade through all 4 doors. I'll put it down or toss it out with the door cover, and then I'll end up grabbing like 3 or 4. But as for the snap-off blades, I'll generally go through one blade in the entire car. So like we started this one out brand new at the beginning. I've got all my doors cut now. It'll last through the rest of it. Looking for an experienced window tinter? I work in Troy as of right now, 4 years experience. Not right now. Thank you for asking though, because it's definitely not easy to find good people. What's the highest quality tint that lasts the longest? I mean, I'm installing it right now. It's almost the highest quality. This is our C2 ceramic. Our top of the line is going to be Apex, but that's going to be 2 layers of ceramic versus 1. Both of them are going to be great films. It's just the other one's going to block out a little bit more heat because it's got a second layer of ceramic built in. You find it easier to take the door panel off? No, I am way less familiar with taking off door panels. I learned the method that I'm doing, 2-staging. I learned this before I ever knew about pulling seals and door panels and stuff. So I like sticking with this just because it's way more consistent for me to do things this way, where every door panel could remove a little bit differently. Sometimes you bust a clip, sometimes you scratch something. So I just prefer to not take apart things if I don't have to, but I always encourage people to play to their strengths. It is a lot easier for certain people to just bottom load. So both are great installations. They just have trade-offs. That tint that you're doing right now, oh, lifetime ownership of the vehicle. So he could come back 10 years from now. And I'd hope it looks good, and if not, we'd replace it. Wrap is more like 3 years. But tint, any high quality tint's gonna have a lifetime warranty on it. They're gonna have some different guidelines on what they'll actually cover from that. I'm more of a, hey, if I put it on 5 years later, it better look just as good as when I put it on. Or else I'm gonna find a different product that will. Okay, don't get stuck, don't get stuck. There we go. I just got ticketed for 35% on my windshield. Well, you joined the right stream because we're gonna tint this windshield 35%. Make you wish that you still had it. Good stuff. For tickets, it's just go lighter or do nothing. Like you always run a risk depending on where you live. Michigan's nice because you can get a doctor's note, but you just have to have a valid medical reason. Does Windex damage tint? Not the ammonia-free version. Over time, if it's or if it has ammonia in it, over time, it can wear away at the scratch coat. So it's recommended to use ammonia-free. But Windex has both versions. Better than a speeding ticket. Yeah, I could see that. Do brands reach out to you to use their film? Yeah, and it's a pretty disappointing conversation for them. It's not often, but I mean, I use ultimately what I like to use. And I would like there's a lot of brands that are very corporate that I really don't like, and it's not that they because they're a corporation they're bad. There's so many like rules and restrictions and guidelines on adopting their films, and they cost more too, but the films themselves aren't any better than what we're installing now. So it's just like programs and marketing and other shit. It always lifts when I roll the window up. How can I avoid that? Like the top edge? Does the top edge peel on you? Is that what's going on? Is the floor hard to keep clean? Yes, we don't do a lot for it though. We stuck with a darker color. It's definitely got a layer of dirt on it. The way to clean it would literally be to scrub it down with like a chemical, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But it also should be removed like every 6 months to a year and then scrubbed out underneath. So we'll get to that year point. But I don't know. Maybe this fall. Maybe when things slow down this fall, we'll finally clean it out again. All right, let's check it out. Any tips on a 2024 Range Rover? Ooh. Dude, I don't know. The new Range Rovers, one of my most frustrating days last year was the new Range Rover. It was, I don't remember exactly what it was, other than a new Range Rover, but it had obnoxious everything. The door panels couldn't get wet or they started to swell. There's no regular side seals on the doors. They're like ceramic bordered. Dude, it was I spent like an hour doing a door window. That was a frustrating car for sure. Lumar and Expel sell image. Yeah. Yeah, the bigger those are like the most notable bigger brands. But the thing is, any good film, like they're all gonna look so similar and they're all gonna have very similar performance. But that's what brands do, is they make regular products. I mean, sometimes deservingly better products, but in the window film space, like Expel does not manufacture their own films in an Expel manufacturing facility in the US. They have access to the same manufacturing facility many other tint companies do. So, yeah. They'll have buying power and certain advantages, but are those dots on the other side? No, there's. Do I have a window? This is what the inside. You see this like layer of scuzz here? This is actually after the outside has been cleaned off. There's a lot of, like, see this? This is like on the outside, on the outside, on the outside. This is all just like cumulative stuff on the outside of the window. Unfortunate, but it's there. All right, let's tape the other side and move over there. What do we need? Door cover. Is that legal? That door? Yes. That door is 100% legal. Why didn't you clean the window beforehand? I did. I cleaned the inside. I wipe off the outside. The outside's always a little bit like we're not polishing glass. We'll take some stuff, clean it off, especially with like a glass cleaner or something. But if there's stuff that's like built up and dug into the glass, that's a different service entirely. And that doesn't affect the tint at all. Can the back glass in a truck be tinted? Yes. I don't think there's a brand that's the best anymore. Yeah, it's been that way for quite a long time. But it comes down to whatever company helps sell the most film. So, like, if you're an XPEL dealer, that carries some weight. But it depends on where you are. And it only goes as far as what the customer cares about because they're paying for the job. So if they're shopping around and, oh, I can get XPEL for $600 on this car, and then there's this other shop over here using something else, and they're $500. I don't know who the hell XPEL is. I'm just going to go to this one that's $5. But some people are going to be like, oh, I've heard good things about XPEL. I'll go there. See all this? We're going to see what comes off and what doesn't. But most of this looks like it's just stuff that's on the window. But there might be some scratches in there. So we'll find out. How do you get around windows that bead when you spray them? Just torch the inside of the window. This one is not doing that, but you'll see me do that on quite a few cars now. Usually on stuff that's a little bit older too. So this one's perfectly fine. Tint sliding great on this one. Can you tint? Oh, I missed that. What is it? Recommendations for getting scratches off the window. Look up a YouTube video. There isn't much out there, and there isn't much that's going to do anything for you. You have to use, like, what is it, like cerulean oxide? And it's a whole, like, DA process. And really at that, you're only going to lighten scratches. It'll sometimes get rid of very mild scratches, but for the most part, if you scratch a window, the only way to get rid of it is to replace the window. Is there a product to remove water spots on window? Funny you asked that. This one's good. I don't know if this one is still sold anymore, though. But Invisible Glass has a glass stripper. That I think you can just find at Walmart now. But yeah, a lot of products to remove water spots and whatnot. It literally just removed something this morning. Have you ever tinted a back glass that had paint and overspray? Yes. So you could have any number of things on a back window, especially if it's older or something. You're going to just scrape it, literally with a razor blade. Spray it with soapy water, scrape it, you're good to go. Do you recommend 3M security film? I mean, I don't have any personal experience with it, but I would expect it to work like most other security films. Really thick, clear, rigid shit that prevents break-ins. Should do great. What's better, double fives or limo tint? So double five is just 2 layers of limo tint. Nowadays, you could just get 2%. Then you can just go darker than 5 without having to put 2 layers. Looks like whatever's on this window is coming off. I have a plotter that always cuts patterns out too big. Is that a software issue? Probably. If they're the right shape, but just like way too wide, too big, yeah, it's most likely just a calibration issue between the software and what the plotter is cutting out. I don't know what software you're using, but reach out to whatever company owns that software, and they should be able to give you some advice on fixing that. Some patterns, like, just aren't going to line up on certain people's software, but if they're consistently just big, then it's probably that issue. Oh, yeah, we forgot. We got to shrink it. Or I forgot. We got that all cleaned, ready to go. Where do you buy the license for the window tint shapes? There's a bunch of different softwares. Most of them are mediocre. This one up here is called Core. Go to their website, and same thing, if you just type in window tint software, you'll find a bunch. And you just pay on their website. Have you tinted a Land Cruiser Prado 2024? No. No, but it's definitely possible that there's something there. Latest thing that I heard was Subaru and Toyota making car babies together, and they're doing coatings on glass. So some of them will scratch up. BMW 7 Series? No, not the new one. All right. So I already squeegeed this off, but because it sat for a little bit, I'm going to just squeegee it off again. It's all shrunk, ready to go. Give me a minute. Just brush the dust off of it. Swipe, swipe. What's the difference between carbon and ceramic? That's going to be the amount of heat that each one blocks. Carbon blocks more heat in the darker shades. Ceramic will block even more heat consistently across all shade ranges. Other than that, that's pretty much it. How long does it take you to tint? This car will hopefully be done in like 3 hours. It got dropped off at 2. There's a little time in setting up the stream. Oh no, it got dropped off at 1. Sorry, I'm not that fast. Is there something specific I have to ask for to block more heat and light? No, ceramic films are just going to be the best at that. Most shops, anyone that's halfway decent is going to have a good ceramic film. And then that ceramic film will come in a variety of shades. What brand tint do you use? GeoShield. Okay, so this is going to tack up. So for example, when somebody comes in, these are the different films that we have. And so each film has a variety of shades. See, all the way down to 2% on this one. So carbon, ceramic, super ceramic. So the biggest difference is going to be this is going to block some heat. If you're doing darker shades, it's going to block more heat. Doing lighter shades, it's not going to block quite as much heat. This is going to block more heat across the board. And then this is basically 2 layers of ceramic in one film, where that is 1 layer. So some, more, best. And then you can pick whichever shades that you want in each film. And then I pull it in here. How long does it take you to tint all the vehicle, sides, back, and front windshield? Depends a little bit on what vehicle. Generally, so what we tell clients is 3 hours without a windshield, 4 hours with a windshield, and they're generally done well within that time frame. Tint Tech 2020 is one of the first softwares that I used, and it's mediocre. They have a lot of patterns that are just short or non-existent in the software. So you constantly have to tweak them a little bit, and they're just okay. Some are better than okay, but the majority of them are just okay. I've hand cut so far all the doors on this one, but we've done a lot more core lately. It's really good overall. It's not perfect, but it's really good way more consistently. Makes me actually want to use it more because of, like, if I have a popular newer vehicle, I know that the patterns are going to be really good. And I'll be surprised if they're not super good. Where most software has been the other way around. They'll be okay, and if they're really good, I'm surprised. So at this point, I don't like recommending software too much because everybody keeps changing their programs, and it's getting annoying. So what used to be my budget recommendation is now just as expensive as core. And they're forcing everybody that is on a software subscription to also, that includes PPF. But they instead of just giving people the choice to opt out and pay a lower fee, it's all now $200 a month. All right. So this car, battery's running a little bit low. So we're gonna put a jumper on it. Whoa! I see why they did that. Yeah, the water, when we're tinting, goes right out the drain holes. If you look close at any car, you'll see a bunch of holes. Just people see rain happening on the outside of the car and think that that's on the outside of the car. But do you think rain gets its way down in there? And where's that? That's in the door. So they're built to be moisture resistant. Doesn't mean that you can't soak it down and ruin something. Some cars, it can happen. My car has that problem and I have to drain it. Sounds like it's just plugged. I do remember probably shouldn't say this. I do remember a set of doors that I did on a Jeep. I filmed a video. It'd take me a while to even find if I still had it. I think I posted it in my Facebook group. The plugs at the bottom were backed up. And when I was pulling the car around, I heard water sloshing in the door. And then I pulled one of the plugs out, and then you could just see the stream of water shooting out. Nothing bad happened, but it was like ooh, I don't want to see that. I think it was one that was getting a retint, so I had sprayed extra water on it. It wasn't just a tint. So there was a little bit of water in there. It was satisfying and alarming. How much for just the front windshield? So we have 3 different levels. 150 for carbon, 200 for our single layer ceramic, and 250 for the dual layer ceramic. People will be anywhere in that range. $100 for a windshield, $200, $300. Somewhere in there is what you're gonna hear. More often than not. Can we just leave this in accessory? Does that work? There we go. This is a Dart. When this thing came out, I had a Pontiac G5, and they released the Darts in manual. And I saw like concept pictures and stuff, and I was like, ooh, I want to get one of those. And then it came out, and I was like, it's a little smaller than I thought. Do they make a ceramic? I can't see past the hood. Do they make a ceramic windshield tint that's nearly transparent, just blocks UV? Yes, they do. It blocks UV and IR. Ceramics are really nice because they get as light as like 70, 80, 90. The ones we have are 70. And you cannot tell they're on the windshield unless somebody told you it's on the windshield. Blocks out a ton of heat though. I thought manuals didn't exist in America. They mostly don't. Oops, hang on. We forgot probably one of the most important parts, and that is turning the damn box on. There we go. Now it's happy. All right, where were we? Put a box on. Don't turn it on. That means I need coffee. You got $550 for this car? Yes. Doesn't mean we get every car like that. And some we get for more. But manuals don't exist? Probably a lot. They're not as popular anymore. It's harder to find, it's way harder to find one that is a manual than without. And even when they have one that's a manual version, it's hard to find that one because they generally made way less. I like manuals though. Fun to drive around. It's more work, but it is fun. Three-pedal cars have always been less than 15% of sales. Yeah. So if you're an automaker and you're like, shit, it's hard to compete, we're not going to do that, even though it sounds fun. All right, get this top edge squeegeed out. Because the manual lasts longer. I had to replace my clutch at 50,000 miles, and that was not free and not under warranty. But it did continue to run after that. I want to say that was like $2 to $3 grand to get that fixed. Does ceramic make that much of a difference? Yes and no. To the right people, actually to a lot of people, yes, it does make a big difference. So it's also a little hard to explain. It keeps your car cooler, but if you park it outside and shut it off, your car's still a metal box. It will get hot. But what it does a really good job of is filtering out heat that is just beaming into your car. So when you're sitting in the car and you're stuck in traffic and you have the AC blowing on your face, but you have the sun still beaming in through like this window, for example. So I'm sitting here, I got the AC vents pointed at me. That's trying to cool me off. But the sun is trying to heat me up. That gives me a headache. When you ceramic tint your windows, you just don't feel that heat coming into your car anymore. So it's just way more comfortable to drive around with. I'm not going to pretend like it's a miracle thing that's going to keep your car like 50 degrees cooler. It's just when you drive around, you're just not going to feel the sun anymore. That's the biggest advantage that ceramic tint has. The majority of people that get ceramic speak very highly of it when they go to get their car retinted. It's one of those things that like once you drive with it, it's hard to drive without it. You just notice when everybody else doesn't have it anymore. You like immediately feel the sun like burning you and you're like, what is this? I don't like it. Give me my ceramic. People think ceramic is going to make a huge difference. Yeah, some of that definitely has to do with just how people market it, because it's like, rather than going like, yeah, it's best for these conditions and blah, 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 blah. It's easier just to say, oh, yeah, it keeps your car cooler. And just try and get the sale. Like, oh, I heard it's really good. And, you know, the guy that you're talking to is likable. And then he's just trying to get a bigger sale. So he's just like, yeah, I'll actually show people what it's like on the heat box. But the more we talk about it, the more I'll say about that kind of stuff. Where it's just like, hey, I'm really trying to keep my car cooler. Show the heat box, talk a little bit about it, but also try and set realistic expectations. But tinting your car darker is just going to help too with blocking out annoying glare. So some of it is just the sheer brightness that comes in your car, and some of it is just the heat. All right, we got some doors done. Let's peel these out. Ew. Not a ton. Not a ton of stuff, but there's still shit there. Yeah, that is... Let me grab a roll. I always show... We got such pretty labels. This is what we're using. But then I gotta keep a roll here and not open it. We'll just do that. We'll leave that there. And I'll open it by next car I tint. Oh yeah, this one's done. So we gotta pull the tape off of this one too. Yeah, the tape, so felt dirt specks can leach into your work as you're tinting. So see all that? That's little pieces that can break off and just get into your work. So a lot of little speckles that you see, that's where that kind of stuff comes from, is your side seals. So taping is something that can definitely help improve. It's not gonna magically fix your insulation, but when you have, especially a car like this, it's not hard to clean up the glass and put out a good result when you're used to doing stuff. But you see like the layer that is on this, that's on all the windows. So there's just gonna be a little additional time cleaning all that. Okay, so doors are done. We got a windshield and a back window and a set of quarters to do. Do we plot it? Or do we just hand cut it? I'm hand cutting the windshield for sure. Yeah, everything's cleaned off. Watch, I'm gonna wait and everybody's gonna start saying plotter when I'm gonna start lining this for hand cut. I just don't feel like loading the film in the plotter, finding the car, cutting it out, guessing if that cut's gonna match where I need it to. I'm just gonna hand cut it. I changed my mind. We'll just hand cut the whole thing. Do you remove the third brake light? When I can, if it gets in the way. This is going to be one of the few ones I think I don't. And I can work around it. But we kind of have to pull it down while we're tinting it. But we will tint behind the brake light. Is this knifeless tape? No, but this does help keep the knife off the back window. It's a sacrificial guard. So we're gonna layer the tint and shrink over it. And when we go to cut it, we cut on the tape line. And that keeps the blade off the glass, but it still keeps things very efficient. Were they asking those questions? So you guys are here. Those guys are here. Okay. So I'd like to just keep this. Oh my God. Do you guys see that? We're going to have to tighten up his thing here because I literally just pulled that off of. I pulled that off of his peg there. Cars shouldn't do that. Okay, and we're going to take a few more towels, stack it up here. Yeah, the battery terminal, that thing. Thanks, guys. If I wasn't distracted, I might have remembered it. Bro shouldn't be certified. But good thing that there's no would you feel confident knowing that we teach classes here? There's no certifications as preventing anybody from being a tinter. You almost touched it? It'd be okay if I did. We don't have that much current. You know, I don't have a certificate, though. That was a conversation that we had at our last class. My younger brother helps teach the classes. He doesn't have a certificate either. But he wanted one. Oh, wait, no, he does now. That's right. Look, he now has an official certificate. Yes, he's been tinting for like over 10 years, but now he has a certificate to continue. It's not a regulated industry, though. So, if you have money, you can buy basically any product that's out there. It just depends on how much money that you have. I wasn't expecting that battery terminal connector to come loose. That's not something that should happen. I installed GeoShield. Is a Model Y windshield harder to do than others? No, Model Ys are pretty straightforward. They're definitely curvy, but they're identical to the Model 3. and way easier than a Model X. Model X is a gigantic meme windshield. How do I get a quote? You can message our shop number, and then a bot will tell you exactly how much something is going to cost. Or you can fill out a quote form on our website, and then the bot will tell you how much. Teslas are garbage. Well, that's a different conversation. He was just asking how to do the windshield. You can't respond with Teslas are garbage. That doesn't help. There's still money there. And I have one that helps get me around. I have a rock chip less than an inch on my windshield because I tint over that. Yes, there's always the chance that your rock chip is going to spread. So it's recommended to take care of that beforehand. Because whenever you're putting pressure and temperature on a windshield with a chip, that stresses out the glass some. So just keep that in mind. But as long as it's not really spidering, yeah, go for it. Oh my God. I'm about to jump in the car. I don't have any seat covers. We got to get some seat covers in here. There. Seat cover 1. Why are you adding that tape? Because we're going to be cutting on it. And so we don't want to damage the window any more than it already is. Oh my God, I forgot about this. They got like secret storage compartment, don't they? Hang on. Oh yeah, look at that. Hidden storage. We got a quarter that I think fell in here when we opened it. Make sure he keeps that. How many seats do you know that can do that? How did you take off the mirror on the windshield? This one was a twist off. It's just like the Rams. It looked a little different, but I just kept twisting it, and then eventually it came off. How much does ceramic tinting cost? Just an average? So we start ours, all the sides in the rear for $350. With the windshield is $550. Lovely. Okay, now we're gonna tuck a towel into the dash. Does ceramic reduce heat? Yes. Will it make your car magically cold? No. Definitely keep a gun in the seat. And then you have somebody in the passenger seat. And you're like, move, bro, I gotta shoot somebody. How much should I charge starting out? Enough to give yourself opportunities and keep going. It's better to try and just do some friends and family. Because Those are people that you can talk to a little bit more about like where you're at. But you don't want to just charge not much because you're new. If you can put out a good job, it's a good job. It's worth just as much as every other job. But your early clients, if you did a good job, are going to translate into more clients. And so if all of them were just cheap in the beginning, they're going to refer more people at that price. So just keep those things in mind. All right, I'm going to take, before I cover it up, I'm going to take a blade and we're going to take a scrub pad and some alcohol. And we're just going to clean up the inside because of how much like overspray there is. Or just like build up. But look at this. I love this cover so much. Look at this. I can just set my shit here now. Gotta watch those arcing wire connections on a charging battery. Puts off flammable gas. The number of things that I have seen. I'm not saying it can't. And was that great to have happen? No. The number of things that I've seen around people working on cards, dude, it's fine. It's just so many covers. I just enjoy getting everything wet. I don't like getting everything wet, but I'll tell you, we just got new seat covers in, and these things are super easy to put in, and they just don't move. So I really just like using them. And I can just set shit here now, and I'm not hurting anything, and it doesn't fall in between the seats. It's just been nice. How long does it take? It depends. So if we're trying to just not cover as much stuff up, go a little faster, not stream, with a windshield, up to 3 hours. But I'll tell people still expect up to 4 hours if we're doing everything with a windshield. Is this a baby soap solution in your sprayer? No, this is tint slip. Ooh, that's nice. Have you ever had a customer come back and say something doesn't work after touching their car? I've had issues. Nothing quite like that, though. Any issue that I've had has been pretty immediate, where like, I can remember triggering like a check engine light. I can remember breaking a window. Damaging something would be more immediate too. It's really rare that anything bad happens, but it's not that it can't. Those blades get little burrs. They will scratch the glass. I don't think so. I mean, maybe if you're just really unsafe with them. I replace them. I mean, I use multiple per car. I've been doing it for a long time. I mean, this is as crystal clear as the windshield's ever gonna look. And we're looking straight through to like lights. I don't see scratches. So if you let your blade rust and you're being unsafe and using sharper angles, sure, like it's not that you can't scratch it, but if you're using new ones, low angle, replacing them often enough, you're fine. I mean, we got things at the bottom too that we got to remove. So like this, for example. Why do they put a sticker? Why do they put a sticker on as low as they possibly can? Just sanding the ceramic frame help things stick better. I mean, if you sand them flush, yes, but you're very likely to put scratches in a window then. But it's just not practical. How am I going to sand all the way down that lower edge around the entire window? So when people talk about sanding dots, it's mostly like this area up here. Some people use a really fine grit sandpaper. I tend to not want to use anything abrasive. See this little chip here too? The little line here. It's small, but yeah. Could potentially, probably won't have an issue, could potentially have one. All right, so we got this clean, so now let's coat it. I think the only way that you can really sand dots is if you like painter's tape around the edge, and then you just go in stages. But I don't think there's anything that's like efficient and practical for your everyday cars. I think you're charging a fair amount more and just taking more time. Like, fair amount. So, I'm not a huge fan of dot matrix borders, but give me a practical solution and then we'll talk. Okay, 5% going on the back. Why does my windshield have super small bubbles everywhere and it's not tinted? It might just have little pits from driving. Depends on how old the windshield is, but if you have a car with some age on it and the windshield hasn't been replaced in a long time, it could be that. Could be water spots. Small pits, it's 2015. There we go. We did it. We figured it out. I just got a notification. I haven't gotten one in months. Wow. We're coming back up. It's because it's summertime, maybe. I notice you don't remove door panels while installing tint. It's not necessary, or is it preference? Both. It's not necessary, but it is preference. Ooh, can we try a new toy? I got a torch heat gun. I haven't been able to try it yet. I forgot I have it. JC, buy yourself a cup of coffee. Thank you. I appreciate that. With the 20, that's a big one. We should turn on fog machines for that one. Hang on, let them warm up. We should also wipe off this camera. Do I have a towel nearby? I gotta put some towels. That's a little better. Whenever it looks a little foggy, usually a little schmutz got on that lens. So we're cleaning it up. I got no coffee. Ugh, I do have to go buy a coffee. We'll buy one on the way home, for sure. Okay, new toy. I got both, but I only got this one because this one was not very good. I saw this one on Amazon for like $60. And so what this does is basically takes the harsh torch flame and burns the flame off, and then you just got heat. So it's more of a heat gun than a torch now. So it's a little shroud. Can we look at it? So I want to try it. So bear with me on this one. Okay. Where can I get one? I bought it through Home Depot, but they didn't have it in stock, and I had to have it shipped to my house. So it's this is what it's called, Sievert. So if you find another person, put your finger in it. This will probably be everybody's portable heat gun, I'm guessing. Because that's not shrinking super fast. I don't quite know. Yeah, but it's like baby torching. It's still like a heat gun. Because like so much of the flame is back here now. So you're really just getting like the heat off that torch. There we go. So I'm being just a little skittish with it. Because I know a heat gun, but I don't know this yet. Who tints on the outside? Lol. Yeah. Yeah, what a doofus. But people will look into like the battery heat guns. The battery heat guns just don't have enough power. This has all the power that you need. It's just how like then user-friendly. How user-friendly is it? But if I was mobile, I would probably look into doing that. Best car wrappers and tinters tint on the inside. I've never seen on the outside. Sounds like you've never seen an entire installation start to finish, though. Yes, Sievert. Screenshot it. It's a little... It's okay. I think it's good. It's definitely, the flame is staying better than the other one. I probably just need to be a little bit more direct with it. Because that went good. I just have to force myself to use it for like a week. But because I have a heat gun and I'm more used to that, I immediately still want to go back to a heat gun. But I have to just be a little bit more direct with it. So where I have this nozzle pointed, obviously is going to take the most heat. But with a heat gun, you can angle it just a little bit more. So far with this, there's some of that, but right towards the edge, I think it's worth being a little bit more direct. There we go. See, like right towards the edge, I'm gonna stop holding it at this angle, and I'm gonna go more like this, and then my hand and arm just has to be a little bit more upright, and it's a little weighted. Why would you use that when you could just get a corded heat gun? Not everybody has access to an outlet when they're tinting. So we do. We do that. Yeah, if the map gas tank was like a little less, and same thing for the end. If the end wasn't quite as long, so it's a bit awkward, but I think so far, if you're like, hey, I'm mobile tinting, and you were asking about like a battery powered heat gun, no, those aren't good enough. And if you don't have access to an outlet, that's probably the best thing that I've used. Versus like, what, a portable generator? Like, what else are you doing? You're not plugging anything into the car. Portable generator, then you could use a heat gun. Let's tighten this up a little bit before we... Just gotta do some reps. Maybe use the camping tanks. I should try one of those. That's definitely a good idea. Those are a little stubbier. Your propane and not map gas, I don't know how much of a difference that's really going to make with something like this. This will burn hotter. Okay, come on. There we go. But the nice thing is I have the heat when I need it, and I can keep it at a point where I'm not rushing. I can still watch the film shrink down at a normal speed. So that's pretty nice. This flame, like I was trying this one, and this one, once you open this, the gas just comes out, and this is how you turn it on, but there's no stop. And then the flame kept going out. So then it's just like leaking gas with no flame, and that scares me more. Why are you tinting on the outside of the window and not the inside? 'Cause I'm weird. That's why. I'm weird. Hang on. Oh, there we go. No? Still? Oh, that's actually not as good. Or do I have this? Hang on. I gotta look at something. Oh, really? It's not working? Oh. Oh, no, it is that good. Sorry, I like experimenting with stuff. So, okay. Yeah, this isn't as good. A bar is not as good as this other thing. Anybody seen, well, I know, this isn't gonna work. We took a couple lights, put them to a wrap magnet. Not bad. You can put the light where you want it. I saw an ad for something like that, but never tried it. Yeah, because they're kind of expensive. Yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into them, but I was looking into some ideas. Is this your own business? It is. No, one of them was 130, one of them was like 160, something like that. I don't usually cut on glass. I like the idea for certain things. But I wanted to see what a couple of wrap magnets and a rechargeable flashlight could do. But I usually do this. All right, so we'll pull this off. I'm going to touch up the edges. And I'm going to go back to a heat gun for that. Did you clean the outside of the window? Yes. I gotta clean the inside of the window now. Have you tried the trifold method install? I have. I wasn't a fan. I think there's some cars that would be fine, and I think some cars would be like impossible to do that on. But there's so many different ways to install that those little differences don't really. What's the trifold? So I think it's the trifold is what I'm thinking of. You can fold, like you can peel the tint, and then you can kind of take it, pick it up, and fold it on itself, and then you can carry it inside, lay it on the deck lid, expand it back out, and then stick it on the glass. But if you don't have a good deck lid to work on, you don't really have a good Like, you just don't have the space. These have headrests that pull out, so this would be a good one to do it on. But on that, like, Jetta we just had in, probably not. Okay, so the middle headrest needs a pick. This one should just come out. Does this one need? No, it doesn't. It's got 2 buttons. Good job. Okay, what do we need? What do I need? We'll take a towel, throw that over the back. I need another seat cover. I already have those in the front. Do I gotta go get one? We're installing 5 on all the sides in the rear, and then we're doing 35 on the windshield. Let's cover that. All right, I'm gonna go grab another seat cover. Are the birds in your shop? No, they're not. But it sure sounds like they are. Is this a fake live? Yes. Go up and scammed. Free up some space. All right, we gotta clean off the back window. How are you recording at the same time? How are you reading chat? We have our ways. Wait, what? Why is there soak rope wrapped up in my reel? How much are you charging for this car? Not enough. Okay, so what do we want to use? We want to use a bulldozer. One of these tail fins. This one. That one. We don't need this many things, but we'll bring them all in here because we can. So this is why I don't actually, or haven't in the past, removed the back. So this has a little clip here. This stays out of my way, and so I can shift the tint down, slide it underneath the brake light without having to disturb that. What camera? An iPhone. Like, for real. Not kidding. You guys can see reflections, right? Look. What's that look like? Looks like a phone. It's a phone. We should have one more. We should have a... We need a scrub pad. It's a Dodge Dart. I don't even think I have to get a different size. So, this is the first time I've had one of these seat covers in the back seat. 10 out of 10. It's not even made for the back seat. Just made to slide over the driver and passengers. But it's a nice size for this. I'm not getting shit all over the seats. Not like I did. But now it's just like I can throw all my stuff here and I don't care. It's like it's a workbench now. I like it. Okay, where's my pink clean? Is it? Oh, it's up there. I got it. We're gonna check this out. Why isn't every car like a Dodge Dart? I like tinting these. It's so my seats are up a little higher. The back glass has a little bit more space. Easier to see. They put the dumb brake light in here, but that's not that big of a deal. So I'll just take something and squeegee behind it. That cleans it off pretty well. And we can also take a towel, and when we go to install it, we can wipe around the edges there. But we're still gonna take the clay bar, clean the lines. The scrub pad was a first handle, like all the shit that's been built up is covering the back window, just kind of loosen everything. Scrub pad is more just general purpose cleaning. Clay bar, I'll use more on the defroster lines, and it removes some of the black, like, tarnish that builds up on them. A little bit of corrosion, but like copper corrosion. See that? Scrubbies leave lint. They can. I haven't had something from a scrub pad. I have had stuff from like steel wool. Other than that, there isn't much else that you can use. Oh, other than clay bars. Clay bars are good. All right. These are triad scrub pads. They're new charcoal color. They're not charcoal infused. They're not any more magical. But they're replacing the blue and the tan with just one color, so they are moving towards a charcoal color because it just looks good and works the same. The white 3M pads, yeah, those leave a fair amount of little things. I haven't used those in a while, though. They're still good. I've got them sitting up in my cabinet, and they're, you know, in all honesty, they're probably ripped off a lot too. So if you just buy extra supplies, some of those brands, they'll get knocked off and the versions will just be shit. All right, let us peel. We're gonna Frankenstein the back window. Do you wrap wheels? I don't wrap cars, let alone wheels. All right, we'll give you guys a look at that POV there. You are more close to the back window than I am. So we're gonna limbo. Now we gotta get below that brake light. So what we're gonna do is let's get the tint low on the window first. You guys still see? Once my hands are free, I'll adjust it a little bit. They may never be free. Hang on. Oh, wait, no, we're okay. Let me lean it up a little bit. Okay, so flatten out the bottom, and then you can slide it down. You can shift some tint up on the window and then continue to slide the back window down. And you just keep doing that until it's low on the back window. And then I don't want it to touch here. So what I'm gonna do is actually pull it flat and then just squeak it right underneath. Right like that. Da 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 da. So since this brake light can just be pulled away a little bit and set there, it makes that much easier. You can also pull it down some, but that worked out pretty nicely. We hope. We still got to clean it or squeegee it. So let's see what that looks like. I reverse roll everything. I respect that. That'd be a tough thing. So for me, brake lights, if I can't cut like a mirror, this would be a cutout or it would be gone. For a lower one, I've always had a hard time trying to roll past those. So that's why I still Frankenstein back windows and I can just get it past the brake light. But much respect for that. What tape do you use before you cut the film? Glass Aid cut guard. My brother's a body shop tech, so we remove brake lights all the time. I'm jealous. Anybody who has that skill set is super nice to have around, because then you're just like, hey, how do you remove this, or do it for me? We're gonna get that squeegee, and was it called? Hang on one sec. The big one is what's it called? A whale tail? We got a tail fin and we got a whale tail. Okay, there's a lower one I didn't catch. Scrub it and check it. Not the flat one, the blue and orange. Oh, yeah, this one. This is a hybrid squeegee blade. We use these all the time for just general purpose squeegeeing. We offer no removals anymore. Way too much of a pain. Where was that? Oh, do you offer removals? Yeah, they're just priced higher. So I'll have people that'll just come across the channel. They'll buy like a cool car from out of state or something. It'll need a removal. And so I sympathize a lot with people that want to bring their cars here when they're tinted, or they'll just bring them somewhere else. They won't do a very good job. They'll find us and then bring them in. But removals are almost always a pain in the butt. Time consuming, not really worth it. looking really good. Don't see anything. His back window is so much cleaner now. Okay, a little bit wavy at the bottom, so we'll take a bulldozer to that little thing here that we got to push out. Everything else, look behind that brake light. Do you see anything there? That turned out nice. Is Amazon good to get tint? You can find tint, it's just generally not very good. Unfortunately. I wish it was good. But most... Oh, thank God. I saw this and I paused for a second. That was just a smear on the outside. I was like, is there glue? I didn't see it. That would have sucked. I'm checking out your loft. We're just building one. Nice. Yeah, we got ours put together last year. It's over the showroom, so that was just like dead space, drop ceiling, and a very small, weak storage area up there. But we built this whole thing out. It added like 1,000 square feet to the shop. So that's where all the extra product goes. Because it was stacking up behind that wall. That wall wasn't there before. We also built that in here too as well. But all the extra boxes and stuff. Here, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Oh, it's being dumb. Hang on. Really? Oh, there we go. There we go. I can run up there, but I'm lazy. We rent. And we looked for another place. There was a super chat earlier, so that these I'm sure are... $20, thank you. So, appreciate it. Big Frog, appreciate. I use a phone. So let's put some film over this. We still have the back to finish like cleaning up and pressing out, and we got quarter windows to do. Let's get some film on the windshield though, and then we'll come back around to this. We're doing 35 on the windshield. Tool belt? Where's my tool belt? Tool belt's over there. We gotta cut out some quarters. What's the wide green tool? Oh, this one? This, I don't use it all the time, but I only use it when things are really tight down here, especially in the lower corners. So I'll swipe it along the bottom edge, and then it's mushy. This one's called the tail fin. See that? So press fits really good into very tight areas. So for example, like a lower corner on the windshield, if this was super tight here, I would squeegee that. Might actually have to use it on the windshield. All right, let's grab some 35. Is that the 16 Pro Max? No, this is actually a 14 Pro. We don't stream directly from the phone, though. I use Streamlabs, and I have like a what's called an RTMP receiver that is tucked away in one of the cabinets, and then that goes to a video splitter, and I have one video feed go out to a Mac Mini, and I have another video feed go out to another device that I'm ULive or LiveView, something like that. And so one device goes to one service and the other device goes to another service. Besides dyed and carbon, what's the difference in Pro Nano ceramic and C2 ceramic? So, not a lot. Like you said, one's a dyed ceramic, one's a carbon ceramic, but their specs are pretty similar. Pro Nano is slightly better on performance, but the trade-off is the color range. C2 ceramic is just far more neutral. Pro Nano is tingy in the 35% and especially in the 5%. 20% looks great, 50% looks great. Here's the shade range. So this is the range of Pro Nano. And so this is so light, it's fine. 50, it's fine. 35, it's a little bit. You see that? See that kind of like yellowy, warm color there? It's not ideal. The 20% is fine. 5% is all right. So we ended up switching because C2 across the board is just a little bit more consistent. Yeah, I've never been a fan of the 35 look. But I didn't have a good replacement until more recently. So C2 ceramic was kind of an accident of a film. In 2020, COVID was a thing, and supply chains were really stressed out and hard to get film. So Geo came out with a film called Carbon Plus in case they couldn't get Pro Nano. And they discontinued it for a little bit because it's literally an alternative. And it was confusing some people, but they got rid of it, and there were enough people that liked it. So it stuck around, and then they improved it from when it first launched. So heat rejection specs got better. And because it's a nice neutral tone across the board, it just became more popular. What do you use for your fog machine? Fog Fury Jet. I can't read the brand from here though. But it was just ones that we could flip upside down. So they used to be just like firing straight down, and now we have them on those rails and they blast this way. But they came with remotes. And I had like this complicated YouTube setup where when I had like a super chat, they were like rigged up with some software and they would fire, which is super cool. But we had all types of software bugs and they wouldn't always work. So now I just use the remotes. What's the fog for? For parties, dude. Because don't you have fog machines in your shop? It's just because it makes me smile. Warehouse party's the best. I looked into all kinds of stuff that I could fire. I mean, I have a warehouse. I might as well do some fun stuff in it. For the stream, anyways. My dumbass thought this was a TikTok post. It is. It's a really long one. Is legal to tint your windshield? Depends on where you live and if you have a doctor's note. So, possibly. What's the best tint to cut down on the interior hazy from like a high sun? Generally darker. So something like a high quality 35 is just gonna, honestly, I find the darker your tint is, the better it's gonna help with anything related to glare. The light shades, they don't really, it's like putting on a pair of sunglasses. It's like generally sunglasses are in like the 20% range. 35 does a decent amount, but anything darker than that starts to become really sketchy to drive around with. Not during like broad daylight, but when it's rainy or dark outside. So I'd go with a 35%. 20%'s the best. 20% is cool. I think there's just going to be certain times where it's not the safest option on your windshield, and it's there, and you can't just like rip it off quickly while you're driving, so night and rain is definitely pretty rough. Coming from the guy that actually has 20 on his windshield. Yeah, so I can't just recommend it. I have a finger here. I'm gonna heat this up. You see this? See that little guy? When you can just let it chill and dry out, and then you put some heat and just cook it. Biggest thing is to let it dry. Now it's gone. Poof. Where you're tinting on the outside, I got my tint on the inside of the windshield. Dang, you must have gone to like a really nice place. I wish I was that cool. I finally got a Wagner today, and those things put out some heat. Aren't they? They're really nice little heat guns. It's the best budget heat gun by far. Quarter cable's at a close second. Do you find that happens a lot? Fingers appearing on the side? No. Not like that, but if that happens, it's a quick fix. If it was a really big finger, then it would be a lot harder to fix. There'd probably be a few speckles in it. But if you ever get like something small that pops up on the side, it could be from a number of like small reasons. It's not a big deal or easy to touch up. The best thing to do is just let them heat, like literally heat up for a little while, because that's drying out the water. The only thing that's really keeping it coming back is because it's wet. How many times do people ask about it being installed on the outside? So many times. When I think we've reached the end of the line, it just keeps going. Yeah, so main reason something might pop up on the side is we didn't shrink it quite enough. Another reason you can have something pop up on the side, which is a little less surprising on this, if your soap solution is on the stronger side and your adhesive, or your adhesive is on the weaker side, then you're more likely to have something pop up. So this slid around quite a bit more than what I'm used to seeing from most windows. Usually it like pinches somewhere. So those two things are keeping them up, or might make the fingers pop up. I was curious, not trying to be a dick. Sorry. Also didn't know it was a common question. See, now I feel bad. It's all good. It's funny how much we get that question, and I know it's real from the majority of people that ask it, but it happens like every few minutes that I'm doing anything other than like installing it on the inside. If I'm spraying the window, I get questions on, hey, does that hurt the car? If I'm cutting it, hey, aren't you scratching the window? If I'm doing something on the outside, hey, why aren't you installing it on the inside? There's a bit of a process, but we cut and shrink it to shape on the outside because that's easier and we have space to do it. And then we fit it and squeegee it on the inside. What happened to your arm? I got in a fight with a steamer. Last Saturday, I got the slightest of burns, and it just looks really bad still. But use the thin white tape on the front and back, and you don't use it on the sides. So my cuts, it peeled. I was tinting though, so it just like my arm stays wet, and then it just like finishing up a car, and then the whole thing just peeled. Like great. Good question on cutting. So when I'm cutting on the side, I'm doing it in a few different spots. We put this much blade out, and then we put the knife, sorry, there's no blade out. We put this much blade out, and the knife is literally right here. So it's kind of like in this gap. It is touching the glass, but it's riding right along the side. So even if I were to put a scratch in the window, you wouldn't be able to see anything there because it's literally matched up with the side. I'm not saying I'm scratching the sides, but if I were, to put a scratch there, you would never see it there. So it's safe to cut here as long as you're not gouging the seal. It's safe to cut along the bottom edge because when you're cutting right here. And the top edge is just completely over the top. The corners, you want to round them off the car if you can, but as long as you're careful and you're using stainless blades, you're generally not going to have any issues. But when we're trimming around a back window and a windshield, we're trimming right along this black border, and scratches are bright white. So if you put a scratch in it, you're going to see a very fine line around maybe some, maybe all of the window. It's just exposed. So anything that would potentially stand out, you want to cover that up for sure. It's like one of the easiest things for a customer to like see and point out if they just clean off their glass, and like you're not going to notice it until the light just catches your eye right, and then you're like, wait, what is that? And then they start looking around the entire window and realize like, oh shit, I think the tinner just scratched my window. My tiny TikTok shop. Why you gotta be calling out my TikTok shop like that? Yeah, they're in a couple places. We have the majority of tools on the TikTok shop. Also, film and tools. Didn't mean to put tiny. No, it's fine. When I would type, my channel used to be called Tint Stuff, and then every once in a while I would autocorrect as I'm typing it, and it would be tiny stuff, and I would take that personally. Or Detroit Tiny Studio. Dang, dude. Why you gotta be like that? Okay, we'll clean this up in a minute. So inside of the windshield is all cleaned. We're just gonna double make sure. Oh, here's my... See, that looks good. Have you masked a windshield and had to start over again? Yeah, and that's something I hope that does not happen today. It's one of the worst. No, it's definitely the worst. When you gotta restart a windshield, it sucks. Mask off the white line, recoat it. It's just a pain in the butt. Yeah, tint and getting pulled over 100% matters, kind of just where you are. There's just certain norms, and sometimes somebody is just very unlucky. You know, you're just like, hey, I'm gonna run to the store, I got somewhere to be, and then you pull out in traffic, and then all of a sudden there's a cop on your butt, and you're like, oh shit. When usually there's not. So sometimes it can just be somebody on an off day, or you live in an area where they're just really against anybody having it. And some areas, yeah, they just don't care. Yeah, we're doing 5 on this with 35 in the shield. I've seen cops with illegal tint on the front. Yeah, it definitely could be. There's certain rules for them. They're personal vehicles. Depends on the area. I tinted in areas where they would just come in and specially request 5%. It's like, are you sure you want to go that dark? And they're like, yeah, I'm a cop. And you're like, well, it's not that reason. I don't care if you're a cop or not. It's just really dark. But if you want to do 5 on everything, all right. I'll have my limits on windshields, though. So I'm not going to do that same 5 on a windshield, but... Could also be how cordial you are when they pull you over. Yeah, some people just like start running their mouth. Like, good God, man, you have. It's up to him now. You can kick and scream all you want. You're just making the situation worse. Nebraska says the windshield has to be clear and transparent, but doesn't give a number. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, today, there we go. Yeah, that's kind of broad. Like, Michigan doesn't say what shade you can have on if you have a doctor's note, just you can have it. So that's kind of open-ended. I was told it's federally illegal in Kentucky. You know, that's something I would literally have to search. That would be a quick chat GPT thing for me. What's okay, what's not okay? Because I haven't heard that before. Why am I so nervous from half a world away? I appreciate it. Because we don't want to have to redo this. You gotta do a tutorial on rolling. You know, I have quite a few videos on doing the whole thing. Best advice I can give you is when you roll it up, make sure the outside of the film is wet. And then to tighten it up, you can literally just like put your finger or 2 fingers in here and just twist it. And you'll be able to tighten it up even farther after it's already like rolled up off the window. So it never needs to be perfect. No, that doesn't crease it because you're not trying to bend anything. You're just tightening it up a little bit. If I bent the roll, I would put a crease clear through the entire thing a whole bunch of times. So now we want to get this top section up first. And then we can start unrolling this across the shield. And as I'm unrolling it, all this loose film, I let it drape just a little bit, and then I'm pushing it up on the windshield. So I don't have any just like random slack parts. Then when it starts to feel a little snug, so it's tucked down into the bottom a little bit. And I kind of go based on feel. So I have a little wiggle room to shift this up to give me a little more space. But if it's hard to unroll, I'm going to take the liner and I'll lightly start pulling it. So I'm supporting it. I'm just lightly unrolling it. Let's take this section. Keep going. See, get all that up on the windshield. How many cars do you do in a day? It depends on the day. We really keep appointments more limited. Because if I book too many appointments, then I'm just doing appointments and I'm not streaming. And then I'm more concerned with just getting stuff done. So I just had a Jetta windshield this morning, which honestly took way longer than I thought it was going to. And then this appointment was after that. So this one came in at 1 o'clock. I see a lot of bubbles. What? You crazy. This windshield's so freaking clear. Look at that. Look at how well I can see through that. Chat trying to gaslight me. Unbelievable. This is the best windshield I ever saw. I want to grab this. I mean, there might be a couple bubbles in it. Nah, I was joking. Sarcasm. That one, that's all on both ends was sarcasm. That is a big old spatula. Hang on, where's my hybrid, dude? I got my cleaning squeegee. I got too many damn squeegees. Well, that's what happens when you bring everyone in. Hang on, let me go get my other one. That one's called a whale tail, but we did a different end to it. Mark modified it with some like suede buffer end or something. Squeegee ends, suede buffer end. Okay, we'll orange crush it for now. It's fallen somewhere. I gotta find it. I know it's somewhere stupid. So we'll orange crush it for now. So there's like a old school spatula tool called the whale tail. Hang on, I'm thinking about a bunch of things right now. So, main reason I used it, rather than just taking like a pink clean or just a hybrid and squeegeeing it out in small little strokes, this does a really good job of squeegeeing out the entire thing, like distributing it without smearing any glue or anything. I did a couple windshields recently. And I felt like after I did them, I had like a little glue smear in a couple of spots, but I didn't have anywhere that was sticking. So like it was weird to me that that would happen. I'm like careful, squeegee up from the center, evenly distribute everything. But I feel like it was more squeegee, bubble pop back up, where I squeegeed, and then when I squeegeed it out again, it just, I don't know why it looked like a little smear or trapped air or something. It looked fine on the outside. I could just see them on the inside. Here's my hybrid. I knew we'd find it. I'm gonna mute this one. There we go. What's your best way of getting water bubbles out after a windshield job? Squeegees. This is my favorite. A harder squeegee is gonna get more water out. So I'll clean a window with this squeegee, or I've got a softer squeegee that's a little nicer and more flexible for cleaning. But after that, yeah, just let it dry. But if they're white air pockets, they're not going to disappear. So anything that you get out of a windshield's got to be pretty quick, or else it's gonna stick. We still got rear quarters to do. A couple windows left. This looks like it turned out very nicely. Not bad for somebody that doesn't have a certificate. Almost looks good, like some, almost. But not quite. If we had a certificate, it'd be a little bit better. Yeah, see, that helps. A certificate for tinting. Yeah, the rear quarters. Nice, very nice. That's 2 for 2. I'm really happy with that. Dude, I don't know what that was before. I'm gonna keep using that. Maybe the certificate helps with the last few bubbles. I agree. Probably that. What time do you do a live stream every week? I don't even know. I do it when I have an opportunity. So even with my own shop, that's the way it's always seems to be. I try and plan them out. Then something else happens. Customer shows up late. It's gonna be an annoying car to do live. I don't know. Just like any number of things. I screw up the appointment before it, and I lose a bunch of time. And I'm just like, ah, screw it. I'll just get the work done. Ooh, that's scary. I knew it would be. I knew it would be. I was like, is this a good idea? And I'm like, probably not. But we'll try it. Oh, we got it. It's okay. We got that little plastic piece to put around. So for all these Dodge mirrors, the Rams, if they look like this, it's a twist off style. And I haven't had one break. I have seen posts of one breaking, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So it's possible. It's not the smartest of designs for keeping things from breaking. So I had to twist it a little bit harder. One of those, you know, I'm not even sure if I'm twisting this the right way. And is this gonna break? Okay, we got it. Cool. Sweet. I'm glad I did it. It very easily could have been like, ah, shit. No, that was a bad idea. Fuck, I gotta pay for a windshield now. So keep that in mind. Yeah, that would have been like a free tint job. What was the alcohol for again? You know, I didn't use it and I meant to. Or did I use it when I was cleaning it earlier? I brought it in and I've been adding it to the scrub pad, especially when I noticed like it had a lot of schmoo on it. So just to be extra thorough, yeah, taking like oils and stuff off of the window. What I've noticed too, so we didn't use Apex on this one, but now anytime I'm doing an Apex install, unless I forget, I'm taking alcohol and I'm scrubbing all the dots just to be sure, because that has helped get the edges to stick down much more consistently. It's only with Apex though. I don't have that same type of problem with carbon or ceramic, but occasionally I would get an edge that just wouldn't, like, on the sides. The sides would start curling back. And anytime I alcohol the edges, I don't have that issue. So nice shop, thank you. Okay, what do we need? We need a light. This quarter right now is the only reason I wish that I plotted the back window. It doesn't even take that long. It's just like annoyingly tedious. So let's install that. I'll take that template and I'll use it for the other quarter. I'll pretend like I'm gonna remember that and then I might forget. That's good to know. I had the same problem with Apex. I wasn't sure if it was something I was doing wrong. Yeah, I was one of the first testers, and that was a problem that they had early on. It's actually one of the reasons that tint slip is a thing. So GeoShield didn't realize that the majority of people are just using baby shampoos and Dawn. And baby shampoo is still okay, but Dawn has degreasers and is not recommended for tint. So they had this curling issue when Apex was first released, and they're trying to, like, for months they were trying to figure out like what was going on. They're like, it's the same type of construction as C2 carbon, as C2 ceramic. It just has additional layers of ceramic in it. So like, we're not sure why it's doing that. We bumped up the adhesive. We don't feel like we should have needed to do that. And then it would still curl, and they'd like bang their head against the wall. So they didn't have a straightforward answer for a long time on like why that was happening. So they thought because people are using a lot of soaps with their films that it might be a soap issue. But what I found, like one thing that kind of clicked with me was I did this focus, and I put tint on the quarter window. Next thing I know, it's literally starting to peel back off the quarter window. And it's like, okay, there's like no shrinking on that quarter window whatsoever. So why is it still curling? So then I treated the sides with alcohol, and it stuck down super well. So part of it is going to be the edges, but that's in like tandem with the film itself. So for the most part, it's a non-issue. Like, I never have it happen on the back windows, never have it happen on the door windows. There's just been a couple dotted areas that it's happened, and primarily it was happening on the windshields. So I'll just alcohol them. I don't have the issue. I don't like that it happened, but what's the recommended dose for tint slip? It'll say here on the back, but 1 ounce per gallon is what my baseline is going to be. And I'll very regularly add just a little bit more. So maybe like 3.5 ounces, 3 1/3 ounces in the 3-gallon tank. With Geo, I think a little bit more tends to make life a little bit easier. Oh, see, what did I say? I'd forget about this. Here we go. Let's figure out which way we need to hold this. It was like that, right? Yes. Yes, it was. My tint has bubbled. Is it a replacement job? Mm-hmm. 100%. So we take this and we flip it backwards. I got quoted $630 for ceramic tint all the way around for single cab F-150. That definitely seems steep. On a full truck or full SUV, we would be $650 for like our top ceramic. Single cab, we would charge less. It would take me a little bit to figure out how much less. But you're just like 2 front doors, a back window, and a windshield. So like in our top ceramic, we're like $450. I'd probably be like $550. Like 2 front doors and a windshield is like $250, $350, $450. So a single layer ceramic would be less expensive, but like our top would be a dual layer ceramic. So that's like XPEL XR versus XPEL XR Plus, to put some context on it. Do you have to clean out your bottles with tint slip? Yes. 100% have to, unfortunately. I wish it kept things clean, but it will turn into a snow globe if you don't. Oh, somebody just came in. Hello. Oh, here to pick it up? Okay, it'll just be probably about 10 more minutes. We'll have it wrapped up, so pretty soon. Good timing. Actually, really good timing. We're not quite done, but won't be long. It's so clean. Thank you. Dude, and I piled shit up on my countertops so fast. It's hard to keep clean. I still want to fix this area, though. That makes it still look like a warehouse. I want to put cabinets there. What kind of car? This is a Dodge Dart. What percent? This is 5. It's the cleanest shop I've seen. Thank you. Yeah, it's like I'm not complaining. I just look at all this and then I go over here. I'm like, oh, I want to fix it. Can I give a tour? Most of it's here. We can peek into the showroom. I don't want to spook my customer though. But this is what my showroom area looks like. Just like nice and open, display boards, good seating area. And then this is going to be the majority of it. And then we have this loft area upstairs. And that's to store all the extra product. How much would it be for a 2025 Kia K5? Standard pricing on that one. So sides and rear, starting would be 299, 350, 450. And then with the windshield, 450, 550, 650. That's going to be for the vast majority of vehicles that we get asked about, which is brand new to like 2010. And if it's something that is like an oddball vehicle, like a Corvette, like a older Corvette, older vehicles, significantly more difficult stuff, which honestly isn't super common in our quotes, then we would quote it higher, but the majority of stuff is right in that range. Where are you located? Detroit Tint Studio, Sterling Heights. I have my tint done by you, and it looks like something is in the quarter window. I've tried to wipe it, and it's still there. We can definitely replace it. What car is it? Yeah, that's a warranty thing for us. That would just be like an installation. If there's something there that you don't like or it doesn't seem to go away, it probably won't go away. Be an easy thing to fix. My wife and I love your videos. I added window tinting to my business. For my wife, we learned a lot from your videos. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. We'll join the live more often. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Have an 87 Jag that needs the tint replaced? Okay, that is going to be more expensive. Damn it. Jag is unique. Some of them are straightforward. When we go back to 87, I'm not sure. But you have a car with a bunch of years on it, which means the film could also have a bunch of years as well and just be that much more of a pain in the ass. Usually, most of the difficulty with them is going to be in the back window. Not for shrinking, but for all the like paneling that they'll put around the back window with the deck lid. So what would really suck is if the back seat basically has to be removed in order to get to that back window to do like a thorough cleaning. Yeah, what kind of Jag is it? The XJLs, like the whatever the most recent XJL or whatever, like those are kind of a pain in the butt to tint anyways. And I've done a fair amount of Jags. They're just all a little different. Trash bag to sweat old film. Man, I would love that to work. It usually doesn't get hot enough here for that to work. Guaranteed Scottish troll that never had his window tinted by you? Nah, there could be something. I mean, I try not to leave stuff behind, but I'm not perfect. 100%. I've had to redo stuff. It's not fun, but I mean, out of all the windows, it could be a windshield, and then that'd be way not fun. So if it's just a quarter window, sign me up. But if it's a windshield, we'd redo it too. It works 9 out of 10 in the Vegas sun. Well, you got Vegas sun, man. We got Michigan gloom. I've done it. I've left a handful of chemicals, left it out in warm weather, and been really disappointed with any results that I've gotten. So what I can always rely on is a steamer, but that still doesn't make it fun. I'm from Mitch. Yeah, then you know that it doesn't work. What makes the ceramic so good? It's expensive too. So it's subjective. It blocks out heat. So when you're sitting in your car and you close the door, sun that is coming through or through the windshield, you just don't feel that sun anymore. Oh, I'm from Michigan. I get that. Okay, good. So that's another thing too. I like to, I talk more about like universal ways to doing most things. We'll show a variety of stuff, but it's just one of those things where I know it's cold in a lot of states. So if somebody's going to ask me, like, what is the best way to remove it, I can mention the trash bag method, but it's just not going to work for a lot of people. I wish it did, though. I wish it worked while it was cold. I always like solutions that I know can be done like almost 100% of the time. All right, one more towel. Let's wipe off the winder. I have seen people taking, I haven't tried this myself, but I have seen people take tint. They'll tint a window that needs to be removed, and then they'll let it sit overnight, and then they'll go to remove it, and it generally does a much better job at removing both. Which makes sense, because then you're like letting moisture sit in there, and that's helping, like, one, the tint is then sticking to that, so you have a better layer to grab on. So I hope if I have another removal, maybe I'll just say, hey, we'll take a removal, but you have to drop it off overnight, and then we'll try that. But I always schedule my appointments like same day. So if we're doing a removal, removing and retinting everything. So maybe on the next one. If we have an old one, we can do that. I don't get asked too much about removals though. Do you got a good solution to save the windshield? Was quoted something like 600 for protection. Oh, from like rock chips and stuff? No, that's just how much it's gonna cost. If you're talking about like the windshield protection films, that's honestly on the lower end too. Shit's expensive. And honestly, not quite there. A lot more companies are doing it, but it's still early. It's kind of like carbon and ceramic when they first came out. So carbon and ceramic films were known for being hazy, and they all were like that. So it was a tough sell in the beginning. It's like, why am I going to pay more money to block heat when it impedes my vision? But then as the technology had a chance to catch up, now it's with good films, it's no longer an issue. It's very common to tint your car in whatever type of film you want. So I'm sure it's going to improve, especially because there's a lot of focus and money in there right now. So a lot of people are trying to improve windshield films right now. So durability might never be quite as good as glass, but it might get good enough and prices might come down where it's more common to spend like $300-400 to protect your windshield versus having to pay $800 to $1,000 to get it replaced. So seems like a lot of companies are focusing on films that are much easier for people to install. I do want to try out Optical. They have a windshield protection film. Geo doesn't have one. And they kind of had that same opinion. Like, it's still early. They don't want to be known for pushing out like a bad product. And they're like, they're just not quite there yet from everything that we've seen so far. So I think some companies are jumping the gun, but to the right types of clients, explain the right way. I think it'd be fine enough. Some windshields are dumb expensive. A handful of years ago, that wasn't the case, but now we're talking about like, oh, what happened to my camera? Did it die? Damn it. All right. 2 seconds. Actually, it probably doesn't matter. You know what? Okay. This is going to be radio just for a second because I'm done with this one anyway, so I was just wrapping it up. But yeah, what I was saying about windshield films, they're making their way. They're getting better. Companies are just a little bit early, but that's also how you improve stuff too. So I think with enough time and support, prices will come down. They'll get better, especially if they're cheap enough. So if it's $300 or $400 to do, and then costs you $1,500 to replace your windshield, then it's kind of a no-brainer to put something on there. It's just know that what you put over there is probably going to wear out within like a year or two, and then you'd have to put something over it again if you want. Alrighty, sorry my phone died, and I'm at the end, so I'm gonna end things. Thank you so much for watching. The final result is frozen. You guys mad? I got a customer waiting. It's the end of the day. I got family at home. I get like, here's a thing. Oh, there's my other battery. That's nice. Oh, you forgive me. Shit, I've grabbed a lightning cable or an vitamin C cable. I need a lightning cable. Yep, I was literally trying to get one like last second. Fuck, I found it. What? Okay, that's some shit. All right, I gotta end it. I got too many things. We got too many things fumbling around. We're trying to start stuff. We can't. Bye.